All right, welcome back. Episode 34 of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards. I'm here with my good friend Max, aka Cards Max 2023 edition. Max, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I am ringing in the 2023 new year by being on the Young Old Heads. Nothing would make me ever be happier.
This is year two, I guess, of the Young Old Heads podcast, sort of, if you are more of a calendar year type person. But we're excited. 2023 is going to be a big year for the podcast. And thank you all for joining us again. We're going to have a fun little talk today about what we expect to see from the industry in 2023, talk about some of our recent fun pickups. So Max, you want to start us off? What do you expect from Topps this year? 2023, it's a new year. We've been now kind of like a year of Topps and Fanatics technically being a partnership slash, Fanatics owning Topps. So is there anything, maybe reflect on some of the things you've seen differently the last year, what you expect to see in the future? I can obviously hop in
I think,
whenever.
so I think one of the best ways of looking at if 2023 will be successful will be looking at 2022 and really taking a analysis of like what changed in our landscape and in our dynamic in 2022. And with Topps and specifically with baseball, one of the biggest paradigm shifts was that online exclusives aren't selling out immediately. Montgomery Club is no longer an instant flip for most of their products. And baseball product reselling in general is closer to being dead than not. I am not someone who thinks wax should always be flipped and that there should always be margins. But in order to counteract the massively printed flagship, which could have a 1 million total Wander Franco rookie cards of just the base in Series 1, you need to be able to tailor towards the collector and have them nerd out over lower printed sets that maybe sell out a little bit quicker or maybe have a little bit higher than their market value. But doing that ensures that the cards are still collectible at the end of the day, even if it's your Cosmic Chrome Flashback Edition and not your paper rookie card. Seeing that wane over 2022 makes me a little bit confused on what to expect in 2023. I think we'll continue seeing like the same iteration of products with not too much innovation, but I think Topps needs to not spank the hand that feeds it if it wants to continue thriving.
Yeah, I think what I've seen a lot of this year, just anecdotally, is just a lot of people seeing a lot of retail, like people posting pictures like, dang, this retail has been here forever. Um, you're talking Topps, but I think Fanatics is really the main perpetrator here. Or not Fanatics, Panini is the main perpetrator because what I see is a lot of unlicensed baseball products that are sitting on the shelves. And I think when you see unlicensed baseball sitting on the shelves, that's, they're trying to charge more for like Prism baseball than even like basically they're charging the same price as like a Topps Chrome Blaster, which is already more than, Allen and Ginter or whatever. I just don't see that being sustainable. And at some point, we're going to see massive markups or markdowns on those prices. I think those, you'll see a lot of like 20% off clearance sales stickers that I see on like if I'm searching on eBay for like older wax, you see a lot of that on the older wax that didn't sell well at the time, had to be marked down, maybe got resold, at really cheap values. And eventually the value came back because maybe a rookie popped off. I know in basketball, the Giannis rookie class, those products like in year two of Giannis were selling for basically nothing because none of the rookies were really turning out. No one had any hype around it, and those products had to be sold off for pennies on the dollar just for retail shops to get rid of them. And I think we'll see a lot of that in 2023 too. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think Topps, is trying to find that balance between cool products that have lower print runs, like, Logo Fractor Edition was a big one that, people liked, and, Cosmic Chrome as well. But I expect to see some of that. I would love to see Panini kind of adopt some of that stuff. I feel like they never ever do any products like that for basketball. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but there's never really like a online exclusive low print run basketball product. I feel like the closest thing that off the top of my head is like the photogenic product maybe, but I don't know. That's something that's kind of worth keeping an eye on for like once if and when Fanatics acquires Panini as well on top of their acquisition of Topps.
Yeah, so you were giving me a lot to really dive in on. I think especially with the logo fractor products, people and consumers are generally, especially like, I don't want to just say the savvy ones and the ones that aren't savvy, but there's a difference in collector between someone who's going to impulse buy a Series 1 hanger at a baseball game because their kid wants baseball cards, which I absolutely love. I want more kids in the hobby. I want more outsiders in consuming of what we love. But there is a difference in the thought process and thinking of the impulse buyer who's buying baseball cards just because they see them on the shelves, and the person who is dedicating a large part of their social, financial, or occupation towards baseball cards and are in a healthy or unhealthy way obsessed. And that latter group seems to be more infatuated with smaller products that guarantee color. We've seen this with Bowman mega boxes from 2017 to present until Topps raised the SRP progressively from $14.99 to $50 in 2022. People love Bowman mega boxes not because of it's just another configuration to get retail Bowman, but because you have two guaranteed packs of mega parallels. Even if your chances of color are low, which of course in previous years they were progressively better, you still have the chance to get the guaranteed big kahuna, and it's not just limited to hobby boxes. So with logo fractors getting either one or two guaranteed colors per box, that is what largely makes it more expensive than almost a hobby box of Topps Chrome at this point.
Yeah, I feel like what we're seeing is like going off what you're saying, like products where people will buy products if there's like guaranteed hits in them. Like the mega boxes, you're guaranteed to get those Mojo refractors, but there's a less incentive now to buy these kind of like really, low percent hit boxes. Like I was talking to you about Heritage, and I was like, Heritage retail is tough because like 95% of blasters, you're going to get basically nothing but base. And, we talk about, base is dead, but whatever. But like those products are sitting on the shelves a little longer because there's not a guaranteed numbered card. There's not a guaranteed whatever. And Panini products on retail, especially, those are even amplified because you have, maybe some ultra rare Panini, retail parallels, but those aren't. First, no one knows how rare they are. They kind of are sneakily increasing the print run on a lot of those things. Like I know Genesis has the print run of the last year. Genesis was much higher than the years prior, especially, and stuff like that, where people are catching on that these quote unquote big hits are not maybe as big of hits as they used to be. And that's why products I think are sitting a lot longer. But, for me, I'm looking to see once these clearance stickers get slapped onto products, maybe I'll start, trying to hold some sealed product for the first time in my life. I know that that's what some experienced old collectors, some old heads out there who took advantage of these kind of times in the hobby when people were down on certain rookie classes and they kind of bought up some sealed product for cheaper. I might be taking some hints from those dudes this year, potentially.
Yeah,
But Max, or no,
yeah,
keep going.
I think one fun thing about clearance sticker prices is that it entirely changes the game of the expected value proposition. It's kind of like going to, if you're some very high rolling gamblers at, they go to casinos, and in order to entice the gamblers to go to the casino, they give a certain condition. And I know there was a few gamblers that I followed that they went to go play blackjack, and one of the conditions of them wagering a lot of money was that, because they didn't have a lot of blackjack gamblers or something like that back then, that they would skew it to where instead of losing, 100% of the face value of the pot, you'd only lose 80%. And that completely changes the proposition of the game. So when you're ripping both from an enjoyment value and from a like how much money am I getting back from the box value, if I'm ripping a like 2017 Top Series 1, that's what I did during the pandemic. I would go to Big Lots, and I found like 30 fat packs of Top Series 1. I opened, actually, just kidding. It was like 12 fat packs. I opened up all of them hunting for Aaron Judge, and I did not get a single Aaron Judge in 12 fat packs of Series 1. So you tell me what happened. But it completely, when you're getting them at below like the $5 retail and you're getting them at 3, it makes it, whether you rip or hold or ship or whatever, it completely changes the proposition and makes it much more friendlier for people like us who want to consume them.
For sure. Going off of that, the analogy of a casino, I know that many casinos will offer people free drinks as an incentive to stick around and continue gambling. And I think, that's part of it, trying to increase attendance to casinos. And I think something that we'll see in 2023, kind of adjacent to the industry side is in card shows, is going to see a lot more incentives to get buyers to come to card shows. I think that this has been something that I've been talking to some dealers about in the last few card shows I've been to, just kind of a general lower foot traffic and increased frequency of shows with lower foot traffic, which is making it a lot harder for dealers to first decide which shows to go to when there's a lot more competition between what shows are going on. And in 2023, I know that something that I've been hearing a lot about, our good friend of the program, Nick Stack and Sell, he did a little video this week talking about this as a dealer himself, about how there's a lot more shows going on. It's hard for him to decide. He thinks that, buyers and dealers both are having trouble figuring out which are going to be the good shows. And I think something that was great about 2021 and 2022 was that these shows had a lot of foot traffic because, people were excited about the hobby, but also these shows were not necessarily like always happening. And with, the lack of shows in 2020 because of COVID, people were kind of excited. And I think we're seeing a little bit of a decrease in excitement, that level. And I know, Max, you as someone who's kind of going to be going to some shows this year, might have some thoughts on that concept.
I definitely experience it on the local level, and the best way of comparing it is that I currently live on Long Island. I go to a lot of Southern New York and Northern New Jersey shows, and on some weekends there are two shows that are a little far from each other, but they inadvertently have the dealers compete against each other in which show they want to go to and which show they anticipate to get more traffic, and it really just results in both shows getting hurt. On the contrary, when I was in college at North Carolina, there was really one show every weekend that was within 90 minutes or so driving distance. And every dealer that would make that commute would go to that show every weekend. And on one hand, you're getting seeing more of the same dealers every single time, but you're getting that really unconditionally anyway. But on the other hand, if you're seeing the same people at each show, you're getting really just a different location of walkers coming in and out. But you know that all the attention and all the saturation is going into one place rather than multiple places.
Yeah, for sure. I think something that we've talked about kind of off air a little bit is just the difference at a show, like shows that market nationally, like a show that does Instagram ads trying to get people to travel to a show versus shows that are purely relying on local foot traffic. I think what we're going to see in 2023 is that these shows that have a really strong reputation locally are going to be much more successful than these shows that try to attract people from all across the country. Because I think really what happens is when you try to attract people from all across the country, you forget that 90% of buyers at every show are local people that just like happen to see a flyer for a card show and are intrigued by it and end up coming by and spending some money at a dealer's table. And I think if I was a card show, my like 2 cents as just someone who lives and breathes cards all the time is that I would invest way more money in local advertising for a show if you are thinking about attending, or setting up. Ask the person who's scheduling the show and like setting it up. Ask them how much they're putting into advertising at a local level, because that's where you're going to get most of your, normal buyers who are going to be, the most friendly to dealers, and is going to result in the best show for both buyers and sellers. So, if I was looking to set up at a show, looking to attend a show this year, that's, those are sort of the questions that I would be having. I don't know, Max, if you would have any different questions that you would want to be asking someone. Like, I know you want to tell the people what show you're going to be going to upcoming.
Oh, well, I'm going to the Dallas Card Show 2 weeks from now in January. That will be my first show that I'm ever flying to. And outside of the National, I believe by far the biggest show that I've ever attended. I think Dallas is roughly 700 plus tables, while outside of the National, the largest that I went to before that was maybe 200 to 300. And that's on like a good day. That would be the Hickory Show in North Carolina. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to transacting a lot. I'm trying to make sure and leave my budget untouched until January. But it's tough when you're buying cards. But in regard to that, the biggest thing is just making sure that these shows don't compete too much with each other. We kind of see that with the auction houses competing against each other, and it really just makes everyone lose. So, although I don't run shows, I definitely don't run auction houses and vaults. It's in the best interest of everyone to make sure the competition isn't consuming the entire industry and is only consuming themselves.
That's a good point, I think, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what your thoughts on Dallas, because that's one of the shows I haven't been to. But I know that that show has a long history in the local area. You know, I think it's been around since like 2016 or 17, and is not a show that like was popped up because of COVID and that excitement. So that's a show that, you know, safe to, you know that people will be there. It'll be a big show. You'll be able to sell even walking around. You're not setting up at it, right?
I am not.
You're not
Bearing
setting up.
something unforeseen, I am not.
Well, the people know about your national thing. The last day of the national, a bunch of dealers like bailed on their tables because they were tired or whatever on Sunday, and Max just set up his cards on the table and started dealing. It was hilarious.
Well, even irrelevant of that, I always have a trick up my sleeve or something of the like, regardless of that.
They call you the liquidation king. Um,
Yes, because of all the liquid.
but Max, I wanted to talk a little bit, dive a little deeper into our normal segment of
We're going from
recent
the
buys.
jacuzzi to the deep end.
We're just gonna dive straight into the deep end here, because
Okay.
I know you bought a card this week that you tweeted about, and you didn't even tell me about this card. So I want to know, what was this card that you said is your biggest purchase ever?
I bought a Panini 1-and-1 downtown of Ja Morant from his 2019 rookie year off PWCC for $3,000. That is the most I have ever spent on a card. I believe so. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I had. I'm just gonna stop talking. Yes, that is the biggest buy that I have ever had on a card. It is a PSA 9. Part of my thinking of that is just looking at the gem rates. I have been a, no pun intended, degenerate in cracking PSA 9s lately and trying to shoot for PSA 10s. It doesn't go favorably often. I think I bat around 300. And one of the things that I try to look for is if the card has a high gem rate in PSA holders or really Beckett holders, and the difference, the delta value between a gem mint card and a non-gem mint can really be a lot of money, to put it one way, whether that's a 2 times or so multiplier between the gems and the non-gems. So I am testing out the waters with that. I found out after the auction that there is a Beckett 9.5 copy ending on golden 2 nights from now. So I would have planned ahead a little bit on that had I known, but I'm going in full throttle, ready to live life.
They call you Max the degenerate
Yes.
gambler.
I always like to have a nice slow dance and tango with risk and lady
But
luck.
I'm glad you brought. I wanted to talk about this card for many reasons. First, it's sick, but I
And you
think,
found out like half an hour ago.
and I found out half an hour ago, but I have an issue with Panini with some of these inserts that they have, downtowns being especially one of them, which is, I don't like that they keep switching up which products they've been in. Like downtowns, I think they started in 1-and-1 or whatever. I don't even know what the F that product is, but just the fact that they keep moving them around in products, and like, oh, people really like this insert that we didn't know was going to be popular. We're going to throw it in a way more popular product, increase the print run. I feel like that's what we've seen with like modern downtowns. They're in optic now, at least in football. And that just leads to more confusion by collectors, and like people getting into the hobby. They're like, wait, in 2017, this card had a print run of 200 and was in this product, and now it has a print run of 2000 and it's in
Yeah.
retail.
It's like the Kabooms. I think they're now in Crown Royale for basketball, but maybe they were in Cornerstones, or is that the downtowns that then became into 1-and-1? Most of these products don't even have a retail component, with the exception of Kabooms for football, which is always a scenario in of itself, to put it in a one non-suggestive way. But I don't like the fundamentals of the card. I'm purely doing this for the attempt of cash. I would not invest in cards like this. This is not financial advice, but the when we're talking about the market collapsing and the COVID bubble and everything like that, we're talking about cards like these that have maybe 100 or 200 cards printed. They have the allure of being super duper rare, but what is the desire behind that? It's that it's a liquid four-figure card, or relatively liquid four-figure card. It's like, part of why I stick away from autographs and even just try to stick to number parallels is that I know that my dollar can get farther on a numbered rookie card parallel from like 2018 Topps Update than I know that I can get a more scarce and more interesting card with that, both from a financial standpoint, I can leverage better, and from a coolness standpoint that I personally like more. I know that I can get more of that for that same dollar than getting an autograph equivalent of that for the same price. And going after these three-figure print run case hits like Kabooms and Downtowns and whatever else Panini cooks up, they're really this when the market collapses at the end of the day, these are the cards that drop because their fundamentals suck.
Yeah.
So I'm only in it for the degenerate cracking. We'll see if I work out. We'll see if I look like a bozo. I'm definitely inheriting risk, but I am a super genius.
Well, Max, this is a perfect segue into a conversation that we were having on the timeline and then the DMs. Downtown is a good example of a card that is rare. It is a rare card, but they're sold a lot. And you implied, liquidity is an important aspect as someone who's going to be looking to resell. That's something, people are going to be looking up John Morant downtowns on eBay and other auction houses. And that's something that there'll be buyers for it. But there was recently a controversy that we didn't even preface this, but I know that you're going to be excited to talk about this.
I'm blind. I don't know what you're going to say.
There's a kind of a controversial take on Twitter recently where someone was saying that the Brady Contenders auto can't be the Grail football card because it has been sold too many times for a loss. And this leads me into like what you were saying, which is high liquidity and rare cards are kind of being sold at a pretty high clip right now. And even if a card is rare, but it's being sold many times over, and people see these sales and they see that certain sales are going down at certain points, and sometimes they'll peak and sometimes they'll go down, it leads to more risk being involved for the buyer. And basically the question is, does a quote unquote Grail card have to be the ultimate rarest one that never appears and that no one ever takes a loss on? I know the Hannes Wagner is the classic. No one has ever lost money owning a Hannes Wagner card, but I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the barometer of, I think a Grail card is a Grail card no matter what. Grail, of course, being subjective, but contextually we're referring it as the creme de la creme. I know another idiom. The creme de la creme of that sport or that player. The Tom Brady Contenders auto is arguably the football card to own, point blank. And when we're looking at how many times it surfaces to the market, we have to ask ourselves, why is that important? Well, if people loved the card so much, they would just keep it at the end of the day. I was looking at my counter argument to this when playing devil's advocate was Lewis Hamilton's 2006 Futera Grand Prix card, which has 3 total PSA 9s, but has sold 4 times in a PSA 9 in the past year alone. And the price it sold for the first time is a far cry to what it sells, what the most recent fourth sale was. But that doesn't change that is arguably the best racing card ever. It may be representative of racing market collapsing and Formula One going up, down, and zigzags, mostly down. But if a Brady Contenders auto goes up or down, it doesn't change that a million people want to own that. If PSA 10 Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer, I think I want to say there's like 400 to 500 copies. I want to say it's in the high 400s for PSA 10 Fleer Jordans. Regardless of condition, that is a centerpiece for many people's collections. More so, during COVID and earlier, the goal for a lot of people was just owning a Mike Trout US 175 rookie card. And it's seen as much more attainable since it's a base card and it's only from 2011. And it's a lot easier to acquire now than it was during the market's peak. But while Grail is relative to the person, the reputation of a card is very hard to change itself, and its appearance in the market really only determines how long it's being held for, which is an important metric, but ultimately doesn't really affect the reputation or determination of Grail.
Yeah, I think that was a great way of summarizing the points. Fun, random, just aside, fun fact of the week for me is that Trout actually has 2 cards that are numbered US 175. And I
In
don't know if you
2016,
know this, but 2016 update. So that's a fun fact for everybody out there. But no, yeah, it's like just because a card is iconic in a quote unquote, I hate the term grail card, but whatever. It's an
me too.
iconic and like the most important card for a sport or a player. It doesn't mean that you're not going to lose money on it. Like I know that Card Porn was roasting this guy on Instagram who ended up getting a lot of support. The guy who they were trying to roast ended up getting a lot of support because he made a post about how he obtained a Michael Jordan PSA 10 86 Fleer, and it was like his best card he would ever own. He's so happy to own it, and then like a month later, he was trying to sell it, and they were like, "Oh, LOL, this is classic flipper mentality." But really, what the guy's point was, the guy that was they were trying to roast was, "Hey, I have a rarer card that I know I won't see again that I would like to use these funds to purchase." This Michael Jordan PSA 10, while it is my favorite card and maybe the best card that I own, I know I will see another one. I know another one will come to auction. I know I'll be able to get one again. And I think, that sort of balance between the rarity and the iconicness is something that, we've always talked about. But like the 52 mantle, you know, just because the PSA 10 or not, the SGC 9.5 sold for whatever 12 million, I don't necessarily think that should mean that like every single lower grade should increase in value because there are a ton of that card. It's not like there's only 300 of those cards that exist. There's thousands of them out there. And I think that that's some sort of market, that's a market that could be questionable to enter right now because of that, all the hype around that one high grade sale. And that's a whole vintage side of things. That's a little different than how modern cards operate, obviously. But I just wanted, I think that's a good, just a cool thing to think about. And also just like something that is kind of a layer below a lot of the conversations that are going on in the hobby. Do you have anything else you want to talk about this, Max, or else I can talk about another card that I bought?
I think we hit the hammer on the head.
Cool. I think
As
we
well
did
as
too. Well, before we started recording, Max, we were talking a little bit about the concept of jersey numbering and how cool that is versus, other cards and whatever. But I bought a card this week, which is a 2021 Optic Contenders insert. And I haven't really been buying much 2021 product in general, just because I kind of just think it's been a little overhyped. And I think print runs are a little higher. And I'm just kind of being cautious as a collector. But this card came up, it's serial numbered. It's numbered 11 out of 75. And it is a Klay Thompson Steph Curry team tandems insert from Contenders Optic, and it's numbered 11 out of 75. So obviously Klay Thompson's jersey number. I saw that and I paid 1.5 the previous out of 75 comp. I just was like, I'm gonna win this card. I love Steph Klay cards. It's jersey numbered out of Klay, and I was like, whatever. I won my fantasy league in football, so I was like, I'm feeling myself. I'm gonna buy this card, but that was my one kind of fun buy of the week. Max, I know you also have a recent acquisition that's a jersey number. Do you want to
I
talk about
have
that one?
I have two. I guess we'll discuss both of them. I bought one of them that I'm really happy with is Tommy, okay, good. We are connection strong. I was worried there for a second, but I bought a 2021 Topps Heritage. It was either 2021 or 2022. I forget the year. Topps Heritage red ink autograph of Juan Soto, third or fourth year. Third year. I think it was 2021. So third year, real one red ink auto of Juan Soto. Jersey numbered 22 out of 70 or 71 that year. And I want to say the last two sales for the red ink auto was like $180 and like 220. And I saw this on eBay. It had like a $230 starting bid and a $299 buy it now. And I progressively started seeing the watchers of the listing grow from like 8 to like 18. And I really did not want to be kicking myself for missing out on this just to maybe snipe it and then buy it for like $280 instead of just buying it at full at 300 and then maybe missing out entirely. So I got the balls and I pressed buy it now. Hard to go wrong with Heritage Real One autographs, even if it's not a rookie card. There's only one jersey number, and I like the reputation of that set and that specific card enough, both to where I can leverage being above the normal non-jersey number sales, as well as at the very worst, having a cool collecting piece.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome card, obviously. But with Juan Soto, and you were kind of mentioning this before with when you were talking about autographs, like guys can always sign more autographs. And I think Juan Soto is a great example right now of a guy who is signing a ton of autographs for Topps, but finding these kind of lanes where it's like, oh, this is why this card is especially cool. And like he might sign real one autographs for the next 18 years or whatever of his career, but there'll only ever be one jersey number, real one autograph a year. And that adds a certain level to it that I think is important when you're considering buying or spending that sort of money on a card for sure. But what was the other one you bought?
I will say that when I'm buying something, I guess both for myself and I guess from flipping, I I'm not the type of consumer to where I want to pay double or more for a jersey number, but there are definitely people that are. But I do recognize the coolness in paying, the 100% full comp value or maybe within the 10 to 20% just to get the jersey number. I think it like adds a layer of uniqueness that I respect in collecting in that. And I think maybe in that specific Juan Soto, I paid 300. The sales were like 180, 220. So I paid a little bit of a market for it. If I sell it, I'm going to charge even more because there's only one of them. But at the very minimum, like even in owning that piece, I recognize that I understand like I not to say I understand it, but like the collectability of I see the collectability in that jersey number and I yield enjoyment from that card.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's one of the few things in the hobby that just like kind of makes sense. It makes sense that those cards have a higher demand. But what was
Yeah,
the other
but
one that
some
you bought?
people will fight to the nail saying that, "Oh, jersey numbers suck. They're a fake pump. You're a loser, and it's a fad." And it's like, well, if I'm paying like a few extra quarters on it, if I'm paying an extra, certain percentage points, and like I'll take it. It makes like collecting is just a battle of clout and saying my collection's cooler than yours, and also that I have the coolest collection in the world. And that's how we get an edge over each other as human beings, as real human beings, after all. The second jersey number card I bought was Vinicius Jr. for Real Madrid. It is his 2018 Donruss rated rookie. I want to say like gray press proof die cut out of 100. And this is a little bit controversial in part because his jersey number changes during like the youth, because they had like the under 18 levels, and then he has the Brazilian national team, and then he's on Real Madrid. But of course, you have the Real Madrid juniors as well. But like when he first got into the Real Madrid main team, I want to say his rookie jersey number was 18, but at every opportunity, he wore number 20 as soon as he could, and he's worn number 20 for the past 3 years. But there is an argument along, I guess, jersey number collectors of if the jersey number is like any jersey number that they've worn or only specific to the year of the card. And so if I were looking at the jersey number, what he wore when this card was made, it would have been 18. But I bought copy 20 out of 99 or 20 out of 100, whatever it is. And it is his current jersey number. Everyone who's buying and wearing Vinny jerseys are having a 20 on the back. And that's where you get some semantics. One of my favorite examples of this is Jalen Hurts, whose current jersey number is 1, but on his rookie year wore the jersey number 2. So really, I've seen some arguments depending on which shady teenager Instagram reseller is you see on your story of a copy, an out of 5 Jalen Hurts card being 1 out of 5, and then still claiming jersey number because that's the current jersey number, and then them claiming 2 out of 5 is also a jersey number because he was wearing that then. And part of like the uniqueness of it is like how often is the jersey number going to come up? I don't give Anthony Edwards much of a jersey number premium for one of ones when his jersey number is 1. But in Mike Trout parallels where he's number 27, And of course, you're only seeing that on serial number cards that are 27 or higher, or effectively 50 or higher. That's where I think it's way more important.
For sure. You one of the main guys for that concept is Kobe. Like Kobe switching from 8 to 24. Like I
Yeah.
see a lot of people counting both of those as jersey numbers. Also, like I think I've seen a LeBron card that's numbered 6 out of 23, and someone was like, double jersey number. I'm charging 400% comps, and like that sort of thing. I think is always funny. But yeah, jersey numbers, I like them. I think I paid more of a premium just because this is already a cool card that I wanted. So balance that out with jersey number stuff. Like, don't pay $100 for a card just because it's jersey numbered, even if the card is not really that cool. Like if it's like a Panini Father's Day random, card. Don't pay a massive premium just because that's jersey numbered. But, if it is a cool iconic card already or like a cool card that you really want, I think it's worth paying the premium. Did you
But the
have
thing,
any, did you have something you want to
oh
say?
yeah, no, the sticking point with Jalen Hurts was at like 4 out of 5, like 40% of the print run is jersey number. So it like ironically makes it like not unique at all. And it really just depends which side of the coin you're playing if you own serial number 1 of 5 or serial number 2 of 5.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any other buys, Max, that you want to talk about, or I can talk about my last one that I was going to bring up?
I had some relatively cool buys recently.
I'll start.
And
I'll do mine first, and then you can do yours. Like mine's
okay.
just a
Steal the thunder.
monologue. Quick little monologue. You can prepare your thing. But I bought a 2013 Threads Klay Thompson, and I did a little. So in my research of Klay Thompson cards and just in general of PC cards, sometimes you'll find a card that you can't find information on. And this is one of those cards, and it's not on TCDB, which I usually consider like if a card's on TCDB, it's legit. If it's not on TCDB, I have to really do my research to make sure that it is a legitimate card. But in my research, I figured out that this card came from the 2013 NBA All-Star Game Fan Fest as a giveaway from the Panini booth. And it has Klay Thompson's only base card that has the rated rookie logo on it. So I've talked about whatever. I don't need to talk about the Klay Thompson rookie situation, but I do need to say that like Donruss didn't really start using the rated rookie. They did it in 2010, but then they skipped a few years. So a lot of these dudes don't have rated rookie cards, even though all their rookie cards are Panini cards. So this is actually his only rated rookie base card. There's an autograph patch thing that is kind of weird, but this All-Star Game card I'm really excited about. I actually offered the guy, so he started at 99-cent auction. I had never seen this card put up for 99-cent auction, so I offered $25 because he had to make offer as well. So I offered 25. I was like, hey, I'm down to pay $25 for this. I don't think anyone else is going to pay $25, so this is probably a pretty fair deal. You should probably take this. He declined my offer, but I ended up winning it at auction for $16.50. So that's a little fun win. FU to the eBay buyer, but cool card that I'm excited to have.
You were the
Only
eBay
$20. Never seen it on auction, so fun win. I know I want to hear about your last buys.
Last buys are unexciting. I'm looking at the card now, and it's cool, and I liked the rated rookie trivia. I bought a PSA. There's going to be a recurring theme with this one. I bought a PSA 9 Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Topps Chrome 201. I'm saying that 201 offhand because I know ball, and I hope I got that right. Purple out of 299 rookie card of Vlad. I bought a PSA 9 Purple Stars 2.0 Tagovailoa. Purple Stars rated rookie. Another cool purple PSA 9 card. And those two are both crack candidates, maybe, hopefully, maybe. And I am testing the luck with my PSA 9 purple cards.
Shout out purple cards. Very hated on by the hobby, I feel like. Purple
Yeah,
and green refractors don't get any.
Meyer Purple and Toys R Us are the most discriminated parallels in the hobby.
Max, I actually, you know that Toys R Us is still around?
Yeah, so is Blockbuster, but like not really.
No, but Macy's, Toys R Us is now a section of Macy's. And I was returning some Christmas clothes or getting them, returning them to get different sizes. And there's a Toys R Us.
Try to clarify those are different sizes.
Yeah, I wasn't just like, give me the cash. I don't want to be ungrateful. But I saw a sign. It was like Toys R Us on the third floor of this Macy's. And I was like, what? I have to go up there and see what's up. for Max just to see, and there's no cards or anything, unfortunately. But Toys R Us still around. We know we love them. But Max, this has been a fun episode. Do you have any parting thoughts for the people? I think we kind of gave a lot to chew on this week in terms of both the industry and our kind of collecting thoughts. Do you have any parting thoughts for everybody?
If you chew on a lot, you're going to intake a lot of calories.
Just make sure you're working out, turn those calories into muscle, collecting muscle. But we'll see you guys next week. As always, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're pretty active on there, and feel free to reach out with any thoughts on the episode or any feedback. We're gonna continue to try to think of some ways to make, give a little more interaction between the listeners and us, so that we can have some segments. So keep an eye out for maybe.
Yeah, we're letting the PR department handle that.
Yeah, our PR department, marketing department will take care of that for us. But we'll see you guys next week.